Brooke, it's so good to see you. Listen, I'm really excited. This documentary, Rebel Country, just premiered at Tribeca Film Festival, and it really explores what it means to be a rebel in country music today. You are definitely a part of that. And I love how rebel kind of had this bad kind of connotation to it. And now it's just about people that are trying to make way and welcome more people like yourself. What was it like to get to be a part of it? Because it really includes everyone from Lainey Wilson, Jelly Roll, Sam Williams, who I know you're close with, Shelly Wright, so many more.
Yeah, totally. It was so cool to be a part of something involving so many of my friends, and just to kind of highlight like all the cool things that everyone's doing. Breland is in it, also a good friend and co-writer of mine, and I love the history that they talked about in it, you know, race records and hillbilly records, and how those, you know, when America was segregated, how those music types were segregated, and then when the United States of America desegregated, country and hillbilly and race records never desegregated. And so it's damn time for that. So it was really awesome to kind of see that history and how all that worked out. And then, yeah, you know, to watch someone like, you know, Jelly Roll, who, you know, was in and out of jail for years, be able to turn his life around because of country music. And Shelly Wright, who, you know, completely paved the way for someone like me to be able to be in country music. She has a line in that film, and she says, you know, the first mouse never really gets the cheese. And she said, but I'm okay with being the first mouse so that someone else can get the cheese. And I just thought that was a really beautiful statement. And it's cool to see how much peace she has with it.
I thought the same thing, and that really was a great moment in the film. You know, what was it like? Because I remember falling in love with Shelly Wright's music. You know, obviously Single White Female, 1999 was a huge song. You know, and then a couple years later, she came out publicly. What was it like for you as someone who was still navigating your journey and all of that to see Shelly Wright back then?
Yeah, I mean, I think she came out in 2010, and I was still in so much denial about my queerness when she came out. So I feel like I wasn't really able to like identify with it as much as I should have or could have if I was just being honest with myself. But for the longest time, like until I was probably 25, my like biggest goal was to just never look deep inside me. Like I was so afraid.
I understand it. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I was so afraid to know me that I almost like disassociated myself with Shelly Wright's story in a way, because I was like, well, that's not me. You know, it's so wild to know all of the things that she went through and kind of being ousted from country music. And her story definitely scared me a little bit, you know, when I was ready to come out. It's like, well, do you want to end up like Shelly Wright? And it's like, well, she was one of my favorite singers, so yeah, I do. But I wanted to be able to stay in the country music family and not be treated the way that she was. And, you know, luckily I do feel like I came out in a time where it was safer. You know, I came out 11 years after she came out. Now there's so many queer country artists. I wish I was able to associate with myself enough at that time to even really know like what a huge moment that would be for me eventually.
For sure. And I know, you know, thankfully we are in this mode to have rebels like yourself who are LGBTQ, who are people of color, who are really disrupting this kind of formula that existed for so long. But I know that even in 2021, when you came out, there were people that said your career would be over. What were some of those conversations that what did people say to you back then?
I feel like, you know, the worst happened when I met Hill, which was like in late 2015. So like we started having these conversations in 2016. And I mean, they just scared the bejesus out of me. They wouldn't even let us post pictures together. It was like, you're gonna lose your career even if you post a picture with a girl. You know, it was just like, it was like, even if it was like us, you know, cheersing at a bar, like nothing romantic at all. And so, of course, that's just terrifying. Like, you just feel like you have to live two separate lives. And, you know, one where you're allowed to be happy and in love, and then the other where you have to completely disassociate from yourself and from your partner. It was awful. And then, you know, when 2021 came around, I feel like people were like, well, I don't care, but like, are my listeners gonna care? Or like, are the, is my company gonna care? And like, it became more, I don't care, but, and kind of putting the blame on other people. And I just got to a point where I was like, it doesn't matter who approves. It doesn't, like, I'm literally slowly dying right now by living two lives and not being able to be myself. And I'm not willing to live that way anymore. So however you guys take it, you take it that way. But for me, it was pivotal in my life for me to do this. It wasn't necessarily a choice anymore for me to come out. It was literally like life or death. And so for me, the consequences were, it was okay.
I think even when the music that you've been able to put out since then has to be, coming from obviously such an honest place. You don't have to hide anymore, pretend. I think art is so much better when it's obviously coming from a place of authenticity.
Oh my God, 100%. I mean, I think about like my fans back then and how little they actually knew about me,
Yeah.
And I think that makes it really hard to, be an artist and to create a fan base and to connect with people, because what are they connecting with if you're not really even allowed to be yourself? So
Right.
being in a place now where I'm able to just speak about my life and live in pure authenticity, it's completely changed my career. It's changed my connection with my fans. It's changed my music. It's changed the way that I am on stage, the way that I am in writing rooms. It's a completely different way of life because, constantly having to be on this kind of robotic mode where I know what I'm supposed to say and then I know what's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's now great to just be able to say the truth.
I love that. And, in this documentary, Rebel Country, you come in to talk specifically about your story, but also a little bit about Sam Williams, who was just at the Concert for Love and Acceptance, where you made a surprise appearance, which we love so much. Thinking about Sam, who is a big part of this documentary, coming from one of the most famous dynasties of country music ever, obviously, Hank Williams Jr., I mean, can you imagine what it would have been like to come up in that legacy and then also be a queer person?
I mean, he has such an important story to tell because I feel like so many people are like, well, if you had a dad that was, masculine and taught you how to be a man, then you wouldn't be queer. And it's like, hey, my dad's Hank Williams Jr., so he's just about as country and as redneck and as masculine as you can get, and that's not how this works. And then also just like showing, how he was able to, get acceptance from his family and just be himself. I think that it's such a important story to tell, and I love his voice. And I feel like I grew up in a similar situation. Obviously, my dad is not Hank Williams Jr., but in our little town, my dad is kind of Hank Williams Jr., like in our town, like everyone knows my dad. Everyone goes and line dances to his country band. Like he's the guy. Like when people see me, they're like, oh, I was started line dancing with your dad when I was 17 at the practice spa in 1983, like everyone knows him. And I was terrified to, come out in like our little honky tonks in my hometown and just like what would people think and what would people say. It's honestly been like the most radical opposite behavior than I thought it would be. I was so nervous about like bringing my wife in a honky tonk in my hometown and like what they would think, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, we saw your wedding pictures, it's been so beautiful to watch. And kind of like letting people surprise you has been such an incredible part of this journey for us. I hope that it's been similar for Sam. Like, I hope that, it surprises him every day. Like, getting to, with his dad and being around these, just real country dudes, kind of being
Right.
like, you do you, we don't care. And that's kind of, I feel like that's how it should be. We don't care. Live and let live,
Absolutely. And, you mentioned Hillary, your wife, and the wedding, of course, so beautiful, Mexico. But guess what? In case anyone doesn't know, the two of you are about to be, or soon to be, parents. Hillary is pregnant. We're so excited. How is this new phase of your life, because I know becoming parents has been something that both of you have wanted, and I'm so happy that it's happening soon.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're just, the process to get here was such, journey. And we both went through egg retrieval last year and finding a sperm donor and like all of those things, all culminating to, getting pregnant. And we're just so excited. We're working on the baby nursery right now, and it's going to be a little jungle theme. And
I love it.
yeah, it's just, we're so excited for this next chapter and, to get to raise this baby in a house just so full of love.
Oh, I love that. Well, congratulations to you. I know you've been, it's Pride Month. You're busy. What is on the horizon for the rest of the year? Because, it's Pride Month, but we're only halfway through the year. So you've got a lot of time to do some other great stuff besides becoming a parent.
Yeah, right. Well, next weekend is Nashville Pride, and I actually have the incredible honor of being the Grand Marshal for the Nashville Pride Parade, which is just like it seriously blows my mind and like makes me a little emo. And then I'm one of the headliners for the performances as well. So super excited about that. And then the next week I have Houston Pride on the 29th. And yeah, that's so fun. I have family there. So to get to go there and play for Pride is just so fun. And I'm also working on new music right now, which hope to have at least one song out by the end of the year. So, and then like a bigger project next year. So that's been so fun, just getting to write for that and kind of writing about this next chapter of life.
I was just going to say, it's probably a good time. A lot of things to be inspired to write about right now. That's so great. Well, Brooke, thank you so much for the time. Just a reminder, everyone, Rebel Country is just premiered at Tribeca. Hopefully, the rest of you will get to see it soon, later this year. We're hoping for a distribution because it's an important story. And I'm so excited that, Brooke, you were a part of it. So thank you so much. Happy Pride to you.
Thanks, Anthony. Happy Pride.